Hey friends, welcome back to the Faith Driven Leadership channel. Today we're going to tackle a really important topic, and honestly, it's a tough one. How do you stay faithful to biblical principles when the pressure at work is pushing you in the opposite direction? Because let's be honest, there are moments when following Jesus does cost something, and actually it's meant to be that way. And many Christians are feeling the pressure now more than ever. I want to give you a framework today, not to be combative or rebellious and not to be necessarily provocative, but to help you stand firm with wisdom, compassion, and unshakable trust in God. We're going to look at three key ideas, real examples, and I'll even share a personal moment where I had to make a tough call myself. So let's dive in. A lot of believers worry if I speak up, will it look like I'm trying to cause trouble? But if I stay quiet, am I compromising my faith? You're not imagining that. It's very real. But here's the crucial principle. Jesus didn't go looking for a fight, but he never lied even to avoid one. We're not called to make big dramatic statements, confront everyone's worldview, or create conflict. But we are called to be truthful. And Romans 12:18 says, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. It doesn't say change the truth so that peace is easier. So the goal is no hostility, no arrogance, no superiority, and no theatrics, but also no pretending. If someone asks you to affirm something that contradicts your faith, you answer kindly and honestly. That isn't provocation, that's obedience. There seems to be a myth in our culture that says if you disagree with someone, you're some kind of enemy, especially in today's polarized political society. But Jesus didn't operate that way. In fact, he held full truth and full grace at the same time. And as believers, we should be the most compassionate, gracious, and respectful people in the room. So that means no mocking, no belittling or no eye rolling or sarcastic comments about someone's identity or lifestyle. But compassion does not require agreement, and compromise does not always produce peace. In fact, sometimes it can produce internal conflict. Here are some examples you may be facing today. If someone asks you to use pronouns that contradict biological reality, you don't respond in anger, you respond with kindness, but you also hold your boundary gently and truthfully. If your team attends a well-known annual parade or HR asks you to add certain symbols to your email signature, you don't shame them for going to such parades or react angrily to any requests. But you also don't participate in something that requires ideological agreement. You simply speak your truth calmly and with kindness, explaining that it conflicts with your personal beliefs. And if clients or colleagues expect you to get drunk to build rapport, you can be present socially, but you don't join behaviour that Scripture forbids. If workplace requirements go against your convictions, you can decline respectfully without attacking those who choose differently, because Matthew 10:16 sums this up beautifully. Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Because courage often means you refuse compromise. I now work with someone who had to leave their last place of work because they refused to take one of the pharmaceutical treatments in 2021, and it cost her her job. We can't always sugarcoat it. Sometimes standing firm means consequences. And trusting God for the best outcome in the most trying circumstances is not easy. Scripture reminds us in 1 Peter 4:12, dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes on you to test you, as though something strange was happening to you. Because trials are normal for believers, and it's useful to remember that. Sometimes obedience does cost something materially, not because you're being rebellious, but because the culture has shifted so far from Scripture that faithfulness looks disruptive. This is where Christians feel the deepest pressure. If I say no, will I lose influence? If I push back, will I be labelled? If I refuse, will I lose my job? And the truth is, yes, sometimes you might. This is not fear-mongering, it's reality. Let me give you a personal moment. There was a time in my career when I had just joined an ad agency in London, and the average age was about 25, and the motto was definitely work hard, play hard. I'd just become a brand new Christian, and I was gobsmacked when I learned that we were all invited on a weekend away to a Spanish party town. It was a chance for me to get to know my new colleagues and who would turn down an all expenses trip like that. But I knew my spirit had to decline. I knew exactly what that weekend would look like, so I had to say I wasn't going. Of course, everything in me wanted to avoid the awkwardness. Nobody wants to be the odd one out. And part of me worried it might affect how I was viewed personally and professionally, especially having just arrived. But I knew that quietly going along with it would violate my conscience and lead to an environment that I didn't yet have the spiritual fortitude to handle. So I declined respectfully, gently, without lecturing anyone. And I'll be honest, yeah, I did get a lot of comments and some ridicule. But the peace God gave me afterwards confirmed it was the right stance, even if it wasn't the easy one. Here's a biblical anchor for this point. Acts 5:29. We must obey God rather than men. This isn't rebellion, it's alignment, it's loyalty, it's trust. And here's the truth I want to leave deep in your spirit. Obedience never costs more than disobedience. You may lose a promotion, but you won't lose God's presence. You may lose a role, but you won't lose his favour or his provision. You may lose approval, but you won't lose your integrity. God's outcomes are better than anything you could secure through compromise. Standing firm in today's workplace doesn't mean being aggressive, confrontational, or unnecessarily disruptive. It means being kind, honest, steady, compassionate, brave, and deeply anchored in Scripture. And above all, trusting God with the outcomes you cannot control. If this resonated with you, I'd love you to check out my Faith-Driven Leadership course, which is designed to help Christians bring unshakable, Christ-like culture into their places of influence. Make sure you subscribe, and let's continue growing as leaders who stand firm with grace and courage. And I'll see you in the next video.